What if giving your team permission to spend just $50 without your sign off could easily save you hours every single week? Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire, helping law firm owners build their businesses and their wealth. I'm your host, Darren Wurz. Have administrative tasks, endless emails, and minor decisions been hijacking your time and your sanity? Well, you're not alone. Today we're diving into ultra practical productivity hacks from the world of Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell that let you focus on what really moves the needle in your firm.
We are on a mission to help lawyers and law firm owners maximize wealth and achieve financial independence. Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire with Darren Wurz from Wurz Financial Services.
What if the difference between feeling constantly behind and being in control of your law practice came down to just how you structure your time? You know, there's a big difference between a chaotic day where you're just responding to everything and putting out fires, and one where you're actually in control of your day and in control of what's happening, and you've actually gotten stuff done. Isn't that the way that you want to feel? Well, it is the way that so many of us do want to feel. So in today's episode, we're on episode 3 of our series on the book Buy Back Your Time, which we're reading in the Lawyer Millionaire Book Club. And you should definitely be a part of the Lawyer Millionaire Book Club. If you're not, we have over 100 members in the group. And our next live Zoom discussion is coming up on September 19th. At 3 p.m. Eastern. Just join. The link is in the show notes, and you can get the invite to that exclusive event. Okay, so in episode 3 of this series now, we're talking about practical real time management tactics for law firm owners. We've covered principles like time audits, seeing where you're wasting your time, and delegation, how you should replace yourself in your business through that replacement ladder methodology, and why your first hire should be your executive assistant. We talked about that in our last episode. So now we're going to go deeper into how you can really magnify your own productivity and teach your team how to magnify theirs. So our focus today is on daily and weekly hacks that can help you reclaim hours. Today, I want you to walk away with a toolbox that you can start implementing right away. You know, even if you live in use a flat fee billing model, so many of us live in this world of time tension. Our time is so valuable. And without time systems, hours just vanish into admin and email. Ask me how I know. I've been there. I've had those days where I have spent practically the whole day buried in my inbox trying to respond to and manage every little thing that comes my way. But if you're doing that, there's a lot of risk. There's the risk of burnout. There's the risk of stalling the growth of your firm. There's the risk of missing out on opportunities to really build your wealth and move the needle in terms of your business. However, just managing your time better through some simple hacks, which we're going to show you here today, can help you free up so much time to help you really focus on that high value work, the high value client work, the business development stuff that only you can do, and even better, give you more time for your personal life and your family. Every hour saved can be reinvested into scaling your practice and building long-term financial success. So let's talk about the productivity hacks. We've got a list for you here today, a list of productivity hacks that are really going to help you take things to the next level. Let's start with the first one. The first productivity and time hack is time blocking and creating your dream week or your dream calendar. Now, maybe you've heard about the concept of time blocking before, and it sounds great, right? But why should you time block? Because if you don't, you're never going to get things done. You know, maybe you're like this. I used to be like this, where you just have your calendar open, right? Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, anyone can book a meeting, right? The problem with that is you're trying to squeeze in 10 minutes here and 15 minutes here and 30 minutes over here to get things done. And it's just not happening because you constantly, I'm going to go work on this case and then, oh crap, I've got a meeting. I've got to stop what I'm doing and go and handle this meeting and then come back and I'm going to figure out where I was in the process, right? If you're doing that, you are really draining your productivity because of something we call context switching. And Dan talks about this in his book, Buy Back Your Time. Context switching is when you have to switch from one type of task to another. You lose so much momentum in that process. It takes a certain amount of time to get into focus mode, to get into deep work mode, that mode where you're in flow, you're in rhythm, right? You're down in. There's a transition time that takes place. Many of us don't really notice it, but it really takes time and mental energy to transition from one type of task to another. And it might just be 5 minutes between every task. But if you have 10 tasks that are 10 different things that you're doing in the day, and you have to take 5 minutes in between each of those things, multiply 5 by 10, that's 50 minutes. It's almost an hour of time wasted in context switching, right? So block things into blocks, put related tasks all in one block and put them on your calendar and actually block them off. During this hour on a Monday, I'm going to just work on my business, right? That thing we always should be working on our business instead of working in our business. But the thing with time blocking is you have to stick to it, right? You can't say, oh, well, I've blocked an hour for marketing, but I'm going to work on this instead, because then things just back up and your whole time blocking gets thrown off. So you really have to treat your time blocks like they are non-negotiable. And you've got to guard your focus with those boundaries. Batch your calls, batch your meetings, put those into blocks of time. Don't open your calendar up to everybody Monday through Friday for a meeting, right? Put your meetings on certain days. Have a certain day or a certain time of day that you're going to block off for deep work or client work or focus time or, even rejuvenation. That's important as well. So time blocking is number one. And it really does work, folks. I'm sure you've heard of time blocking before. It's no secret, but you haven't done it yet. And why haven't you done it yet, right? Okay, we all know it's important, but we're not doing it. Once you start doing it, you'll see the magic. And later in the show, I'm going to tell you about a tool that can take your time blocking to the next level. So stick around for that. Okay, if we want to take time blocking to an even bigger level, we can think about theme days. Theme days. So instead of, let's say you have a podcast like me, and you need to record podcast episodes, right? Well, instead of, trying to fit it in wherever it fits in, right? I need to record an episode for next week. Assign days to categories of work. Monday is going to be marketing. Tuesday is going to be client meetings. Wednesday is going to be team meetings, right? Whatever it is. Have themes for your days. This allows you to reduce context switching even further. And it's going to help your team know what to expect. That's the other secret, getting all of your team aligned. We just did this in our business. We said no more meetings on Wednesdays. Okay? And so we decided that Wednesdays are going to be sacred days for really deep focus work. And one of my team members didn't think this was such a great idea. Why do we really need to do this? Well, a couple weeks into it, he loves it, right? It's great because now he has time to really sit down and get some shit done, okay? To just sit down for several hours, and well, hopefully not sitting for several hours, but you know what I mean, to have a block of solid focus time to really deal with client tasks and get things done. It is so powerful, okay? So having theme days, it helps you by putting certain tasks into certain days. Now, you could think about this monthly as well. You could have, a lot of people do this, they have a social media day once a month. The whole day, we're going to do nothing but film content for social media. This is our social media day. I confess, I have not gotten to this level just yet in my business, but I've done this a few times with like a podcasting day once a month and just cram everything. This is the one day we're going to work on just this thing. Now, I will warn you, it can be exhausting. And I have found in my experience that having a day where you record podcast episodes all day can be super draining. So maybe it's not all day, maybe it's half a day. Or if it is all day, make sure you're taking breaks and giving yourself time to decompress. I've noticed this especially with client meeting days. I've tried this, cramming all the client meetings into Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then you have back-to-back meetings for 8 hours. That is a recipe for burnout, let me tell you. Okay, so you can do that. You can have certain days for meetings and certain days not for meetings, but you've got to make sure that you're building in some decompression time as well. And a better task or a better concept might be to have a morning block and an afternoon block, so that you can give yourself a break, right? We're going to do podcasts all morning, and then all afternoon we're going to do something else, right? Okay, so that's theme days. And we can take this even further with the concept of batching, which we've kind of already talked about here, but batching is the concept of grouping similar tasks, right? So I'm not going to be in my inbox checking my email throughout the day. No. I'm going to give myself 30 minutes at the beginning of the day to check my emails, and that's it, right? Put similar tasks into similar groups and knock them all out, right? So I'm going to work on client tasks on Wednesday afternoon from 2 to 4. I'm going to give myself 2 hours. I'm going to bunch all the client tasks into that specific time frame. Okay, batching similar tasks together, drafting multiple motions in one session, returning client calls all in one block, reviewing all your depositions all at once, whatever it is. And you can use techniques like the Pomodoro technique for focus endurance. This is where, you set a timer for yourself. I've done this. You actually use a timer. You say 25 minutes, boom. I'm going to be focused for the next 25 minutes, or whatever works for you. You could customize it. Maybe 45 minutes is better because it does take some time to get into, we talked about that, the transition, getting into the deep work. And then you're in flow and you're losing track of time because you're just in the zone. You're working, right? But the Pomodoro technique is basically you take 25 minutes, you're set a timer, you're going to work, you can stay focused for 25 minutes, and then you're going to rest for 5 minutes. And that's important. That resting for 5 minutes, that decompression time is important to your endurance. If you say, okay, woohoo, 8 hours, I'm just going to knock it out. I've got all day today. I'm just going to knock out preparing my presentations for the next couple of months, whatever. If you sit down and you just do that all day and you don't take any breaks, you're gonna regret it, right? So give yourself some decompression time. Okay, so those three are kind of all related. Time blocking, your theme days, and batching. All of those are the same concepts, right? And it's all about avoiding context switching. Let's move on to something a little bit different, and that is emails. Oh, we all love emails, don't we? Well, I heard it described like this. Your email inbox is everyone else's to-do list for you. How true that is. Your inbox is everyone else's to-do list for you, right? How fair is that? Everyone else is telling you what you need to do, and you are just eating it up. You're just going with it, right? Oh, this is my to-do list. I get in my inbox and handle my emails. Screw that. You own your own to-do list. Be proactive, right? And you set your own schedule and your own calendar. So the one way to avoid this, now obviously we all have to deal with our emails, and we've got to go through them. One of the best ways to do this is to hire an executive assistant to go through your emails. That is the most fantastic way to do this. But before you even think about hiring an executive assistant, you need to familiarize yourself with the concept of inbox zero. Inbox zero, right? How many emails are in your inbox right now? If it's more than 100, Houston, we have a problem. If you're like me, and it was how I used to do this before I learned the magic of inbox zero, thousands of emails in your inbox. Yikes. And then, you're just going one at a time through them, and they're just living in there, right? And, oh, I've got that one from 2 weeks ago. I'm going to get back to that person. Okay, we've got to fix this. Inbox zero, right? You have your executive assistant do this. They're going to triage your email twice a day. 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. They're going to handle all of your emails, and they're going to put each email into a folder. When it's put into a folder, it's going to be archived or a label. When it's put into the label, it's also going to be archived so it's out of your inbox. So then when you're like me and at 12 p.m., when you go into your inbox to check it, there are no emails in your inbox. All your emails have been put into labels, and I don't have to read all my emails. I only have to read the emails that are in the Darren folder. Those are the emails for me. Those are the things that only I can deal with. Everything else has been dealt with. So my inbox zero methodology, and go on YouTube and learn about it. There are lots of different ways to do it, and you've got to customize it for you. But I have a system of labels. The first label is the Darren label. It has an exclamation mark by it. And I actually got most of this from Dan Martell's book. So the Darren folder, that's where my assistant puts emails that only I can handle. The next folder is the review folder. That gets a number 1, I think. Well, I don't remember the order, but I'll tell you what they are. I have a review folder. The review folder is for the things that my assistant didn't know quite what to do with. Then there's a folder that is to respond. Those are the things that it's kind of a holding place for my executive assistant to put emails that she's going to get to as she's going through them and organizing them so she doesn't have to get bogged down in that process. The next folder is the assistant responded folder. So once she's responded to them, they go to there. And that way I can go through and I can review them if I'd like to. I have a folder for read through. These are all the newsletters and things that we get, things I'd like to continue to receive and I'd like to look through when I have the time, but things I don't want to clog up and clutter my inbox. I have a folder for receipts and financial. Anything financial related or a receipt, it goes into that folder. And then I've got folders for team members too, right? So anything that Jim is supposed to deal with goes in the Jim folder. Anything that Stacy's supposed to deal with goes in the Stacy folder, and on and on and on. Inbox zero, it will change your life. And use the Ohio principle. Ready for this? The Ohio principle, only handle it once. So when you get that email, when that email comes through, you're either going to, your assistant's going to do this. They're either going to reply, they're going to delegate, they're going to delete, or they're going to do one of those things, right? They're going to do something with that email and it's going to be done and it's not going to be dealt with again. That's the way you've got to deal with emails. Don't just leave the emails in the inbox as your to-do list. Put them on your to-do list and then archive the email, right? Oh, I've got to send my bio for the presentation I'm doing with the Connecticut Bar Association. So instead of leaving that in my inbox as an email that's just going to sit there and it's going to gnaw at my brain every time I go in to check my emails, I'm going to put it on my to-do list. And better yet, it's going to go on my calendar. Now I know it's going to get done because I have time to do it. Better yet, that is something that an executive assistant would be able to handle perfectly. Okay. Use templates for recurring responses and try to delegate emails to other people to handle as much as possible. Another productivity hack for you, and this is the last one, and it's more of a principle than a hack, and it is this: done is better than perfect. Don't spend so much time trying to make everything perfect. And if you're like me, a recovering perfectionist, this is tough. Because you want everything to be right. But there's a huge problem for your time management because if you're a perfectionist like me, you can spend all day making something perfect. And the problem is you're only making about a 2 to 5% improvement. And that's not going to move the needle in terms of your business. There is something on your to-do list that you've been waiting to do and you've been putting it off because you're not quite ready to do it, right? Maybe it's setting up your email list and sending out email campaigns. And you should do it, but it's just, you just haven't gotten around to it and it needs to be perfect. Well, let me tell you, my friend, done is better than perfect. So I don't care if it's the crappiest email newsletter that ever went out to anybody. You put that email newsletter out there and you get it going. Because if you don't, not doing it at all is worse. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. That's another great one. I'm coming up with great ones. Actually, these are all ones that I've heard before, but I will come up with my own at some point. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper. So there's some other productivity hacks that might be helpful to you, some more advanced or less common tactics. This one comes from the book, Buy Back Your Time, the $50 Magic Pill. And it could be any number of dollars, but $50 might be a good place to start. Empower your staff with a small discretionary budget. So basically this is, give your staff the ability to spend $50 to fix a problem. That way they don't have to come to you and ask. You can get that off of your plate. They can deal with it, and you won't have to, get bogged down in that process. Now, the only caveat is they have to tell you. They have to tell you at the next team meeting, hey, I had to spend $50 to fix this problem, or whatever amount of money it is. But you set a limit. You can spend up to $50 to fix any problem without needing prior authorization, but you're going to need to tell me about it. That's going to build trust and autonomy, and it's also going to help eliminate dozens of micro decisions that you have to make, which, by the way, is a really big problem for business owners: decision fatigue. We can only, as human beings, make so many decisions in a day. We are limited, unlike ChatGPT. We can't make decisions endlessly. We do reach a point of decision fatigue. This is going to free up your attention for bigger, more important decisions. The next one is the 1-3-1 rule. When team members bring you a problem, here's how to deal with that, right? How many times do you have a team member coming to you with a problem? Oh, I have a problem. Oh, I need help with this. I need help with that. Okay. So, instead of having to deal with everybody's problems and fix everything yourself, we have a new 1-3-1 rule. Whenever you come to me with a problem, you're going to have to, 1, define the problem clearly. You're going to have to come up with 3 possible solutions. Come with them. Come prepared with them. Don't bring me a problem unless you're also going to bring me 3 possible solutions. And finally, then also have your recommendation ready. What is your recommendation for how we fix this problem? It's going to train your staff to think strategically, and it's going to save you from constant firefighting. Okay, another one is the sync meetings with repeat agendas. Having a repeat agenda for your sync meeting. What are sync meetings? Sync meetings are those one-on-one meetings with your team members, those weekly one-on-ones with your direct reports, right? Rather than getting on the phone and saying, okay, what's new? Any problems this week? Any issues? Anything you want to talk about? Oh, okay. Okay, bye. Don't do that, right? Have an agenda. Have a series of things that you're going to go through. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. You've got to figure out what that agenda is for you and what makes sense. If you're using EOS, some steps in the agenda could be scorecard or data review. What are the KPIs that this team member owns? Let's review those. Step 2, rocks review. What are the big rocks that you're working on? What's your progress? Are you having any issues? Do you have any questions? Step 3 could be your to-dos. Okay, these were your to-dos that you're assigned. How are your to-dos coming? And the next step could be issues. Okay, any issues that we need to solve? Any client problems we need to deal with or talk about? Keep it focused. Keep it moving. Don't waste time. This is going to keep your alignment tight. It's going to avoid wasting time in the meeting and wasting time on the preparation for the meeting. Okay, the next one is the definition of done. Definition of done means you define what done means. So often we assign folks a task or we delegate something, but we don't clearly define when is this thing done, right? So then you have this to-do on your team list of to-dos that you're working on, and it could be something like improve the SEO of the website. Okay, but what does that mean? When do we know that we're done, right? It just creates all this vagueness, and then you have this thing that's just sitting there, and we're supposed to be working on this, but what are we supposed to be doing? Be specific. So a definition of done has 3 things: facts, feelings, and function. Facts, what are the tangible deliverables? Are they done? The motion is drafted. There's 10 pages. There are citations included, whatever. The second thing is feelings, the emotional or experiential outcome. The client feels informed. the team member feels reassured, right? Are the feelings there? And the third thing is function. How does it work? How does it serve the firm? Is it done and is it usable? The email template is saved in our CRM so it can be reused. This is going to eliminate rework. Okay, so hopefully I've given you some really, really good tips. You can use all of these tips, and there's so many more. The last one I want to give to you is aligning your energy management with your time blocking. So we talked about time blocking, but you can take that in a step even further, and that is aligning your energy throughout the day with where your time blocks occur. Schedule your work based on your personal energy rhythms. At which part of the day do you have the most energy? For many people, their best energy, like me, is in the morning. So do your deep legal work or strategy work in that morning time period. For many of us, our lowest energy time period is in the early afternoon. So maybe you have a walk during that time of the day. Maybe you have meetings during that time of the day because you're going to have to get amped up for those. Or maybe that's the time where you do your administrative, tasky kind of stuff, or your routine tasks in those low energy time periods. Okay, guys, hopefully I've given you some awesome things to think about. Before tomorrow, what I want you to do is open your calendar and block 2 90-minute deep work sessions for yourself. Protect those sessions like you would a court hearing. Make them sacred. Or maybe you could do this. Pick one thing on your to-do list that you've been agonizing over and schedule it on your calendar, right? Schedule it on your calendar and keep a mindset that done is better than perfect, okay? Small steps, not perfection. Now, I did promise to give you one really cool tool to use that I've been using. I've been using this new calendar system. It's AI driven. It's called reclaim.ai, and it is freaking amazing. So what is so awesome about Reclaim is it takes all of my to-dos, and based on priority level and based on time that's going to be required to complete them, it puts them on my calendar. And not only that, it will put blocks of time on my calendar for what are called habits. And then it also includes scheduling links for clients or other people. And instead of just having to keep time open for client meetings, it will proactively move things around, move my time blocks around to create space for client meetings. It's really cool, folks. You owe yourself a favor to go and check it out right now. And no, I'm not a paid spokesperson for them, nor receiving any kind of commissions, but I just think it's a really cool tool. And we've been using it in our business as well. So my challenge for you, my friend, this week, stop being the bottleneck in your own law firm. Start using and training your team on some productivity hacks. And challenge yourself to view your time as your greatest asset. When you optimize your time and your energy, you're not just working more efficiently, you're structuring your firm as a high-performing, scalable, and profitable business. And that is what brings sustainable wealth and freedom. And that's what we are all about here at The Lawyer Millionaire. We're here to help you grow your firm and your wealth using our 3-part signature framework: business expansion, profit maximization, and wealth growth. If this episode helped you, please, 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 would you leave us a review? It's going to help us out so much and help us reach more law firm owners like you who need to hear this message. And if you've been listening for a while and you're ready to dig in deeper, let's book a call together. Book a free intro call with me. Look for the link in the show notes. Let's accelerate your path to wealth and freedom. Now, who is the Lawyer Millionaire, my friend? It's you. That's right. Own it and live it. I'm your host, Darren Wurz. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to The Lawyer Millionaire. Click the follow button below to be notified when new episodes become available. This content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. This content is not intended to represent investing or tax advice. Always seek the advice of a qualified investment or tax advisor with any questions you may have regarding your own financial circumstances.